Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. Second quarter, second hour, kick it off right now on this Monday morning, April 6th. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start to a brand new work week here. First hour, we talked all Brewers, talked all baseball here. As the Brewers picking up another series win to begin their season 7-2. They'll be back at it tonight, taking on the Boston Red Sox in Boston. So we'll get back to more Brewers talk throughout this program. We've got Justice Cleveland joining us in about 2 hours. In the 9 o'clock hour, we'll do some local sports roundup with him, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. We got that. Also, send me your best and worst from the weekend. Your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. We'll do a little Glory Days segment also coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, brought to you by Summer Jam in Eau Claire. We'll talk some football a little bit later on as we get set, we continue, our Packers prospects series. Potential options there for Green Bay when it comes to their day 2 picks, round 2 and 3. So highlight a few players that could potentially be targets for Green Bay and such. So we got that. Taking your picks. Who you got tonight for the national championship between Michigan and UConn? Who you rolling with, baby? All right. UConn taking down Illinois on Saturday. Michigan taking down Arizona to advance. I need UConn to win tonight. I didn't pick UConn to win it. I picked Arizona to win it all, but I need UConn to win tonight to win the Sports Talk Bracket Challenge. Because if Michigan wins, then I think I fall short. So, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'm not feeling great about that because Michigan has just kind of been, on a tear. They've been playing some really, really good basketball. But, all right. So we'll continue. We'll get to more of your picks, but hit me up with the text 715-830-1912. Or you can join in on the Section 105 chat room on the video stream. So I want to kick off this hour talking some hoops, but NBA, as we start to wrap up the regular season this week. We know the Bucks are not going to be in the postseason. Breaking news, right? In case you've been kind of hiding under a rock or anything like that, the Bucks are not going to be making the postseason. Which means the talk will shift. It has started to shift towards what is the future of one Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right. Now, we know there's an NBA investigation going on about whether the Bucks have been holding him out or sitting him when he's healthy enough to play. Giannis has been vocal that he wants to play, while the Bucks have been saying he's not healthy enough. So there's been a little bit of investigation going on. But there's more now. And Lori Nickel from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I mean, she, over the years, has been kind of a nice inside source, if you will, has been able to get a lot of good stuff from the Greek Freak himself, from Giannis. And there was a couple of articles in the last couple of days that have been published, that have been posted out there, and kind of gives us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain regarding the Greek Freak, regarding Giannis. Let's start off with this one, where he acknowledged, remember a few weeks ago, there was that article from ESPN about Wes Edens saying that Giannis will either be extended or he will be traded. That Wes Edens told ESPN on March 20th. He said, the likelihood you'll let him just kind of play out the last year, we can't afford that. It's not consistent with what's good for the organization. That's not a Giannis issue. That's any player that's in their last year. Giannis wasn't really happy with that comment, apparently, saying, quote, for me, it's like a slap in my face. When he was asked about his interaction with his bosses throughout this season, there hasn't been many. And I feel like when a player and kind of like the owners or the higher ups don't really interact a whole lot, it almost feels like is the writing on the wall. And Giannis said he had he can remember one conversation during this season with Wes Edens, which was via Zoom. And he said he had two conversations with Jimmy Haslam, one via Zoom with Edens, and the other time was around a game. And he said he's had just casual hellos with Josh Glessing, the abruptly and newly appointed Bucks president. Which, yeah. And as Lori Nichols says, the point, Giannis is the face of the franchise and majority record holder, and he had to find out this sign early or be traded stance from ownership through the media and not from Wes Edens himself. Giannis says it says a lot. Now, Lori goes on to say he wasn't angry, he wasn't accusing, but he was straightforward in answering questions. Giannis wondered, for example, if the Nuggets ownership group ever would make a statement like that about the Joker, Jokic, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Giannis couldn't come to any reckoning why he, a two-time MVP and a one-time NBA Finals MVP, would receive such a statement. Quote, especially as somebody that has been this loyal, and I've showed appreciation to the team, to the community, to the fans, to everybody that I worked with, you know, and that's almost like a slap in my face. He started with another example, the piece goes on to say, and then paused, questioning whether he should continue before continuing, clearly trying to respectfully communicate his stance on things. Let's just give it an example of what I'm trying to say. A father of four, he will tell his children that they have to brush their teeth, take a nap, and be polite to their mom in order to come to the gym with him. But he tries to keep deals like this rare. I don't even talk to my kids like this. And I'm not a kid, okay? I'm a grown man. And if that was the case, you should have come to me and addressed it directly. Giannis said that the Bucks organization has asked him to address trade rumors, and he reminds us that he has done that. First in the beginning of the season, after an early practice, and again in February. I'm here. I'm committed to the team. And I'm committed to Milwaukee because I love this city. His wish is this. To the organization, the conversations that I have between me, myself, and my bosses, it's private. It should not be in the media. If they're willing, they want to share it to the media, they could go ahead and do that. I'm here. I'm committed. I'm wearing the jersey. And it is disrespectful to my teammates, to my coaching staff, to the people that I go and sweat with and go to war with to say, I don't want to be here. And I will never do that. Now, what goes on in private rooms, it's not my job. It's not my responsibility. And it should not, in no shape or form, be shared in public. I believe in etiquette. I believe in human etiquette. I believe in basketball etiquette. So with my owners, I have addressed what I feel and what I believe the situation is. Same with my GM, same with my coaches. And for me, that Wes Edens comment was a slap in the face. But it's my boss, so I just got to keep on moving forward. And here's a really, really good point. And Lori is a fantastic reporter and writer. And she puts this in here. Why would Giannis speak highly of his team, but want to keep private conversations private? Some NBA analysts and observers thought Milwaukee didn't adequately prepare for the post-Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Dame Lillard era. Even though the Bucks said all the right things at the beginning of the season, touting its roster with Miles Turner and lots of other names, including former two-way players, it didn't convince every pundit. And maybe Giannis was concerned too. He didn't say he was in this interview, so this is speculative. If he was concerned, he would have expressed that only in-house. Otherwise, why damage the relationship he has with teammates and coaches? But this is a fact. By the time the Bucks lost on New Year's Eve to the Washington Wizards, it was blatantly obvious that the team had more shortcomings than bright spots. And this isn't the only thing to kind of pop up. A little bit later on this piece, they talked about Giannis' contract extension is the only leverage he has if he wants to push Bucks leadership and culture towards excellence and make it clear that while he's given this team his prime years, he intends to continue to give the best of what he has going forward. He's not the type to demand a trade. These contract talks are his only leverage. 100%, Giannis said. He started to elaborate and again checked himself. He was trying to be thoughtful of what he wants to say and what he wanted to keep it private. Coincidentally, he was talking in a Fiserv Forum hallway, and a Bucks employee was instructed to stand behind Giannis to listen in on the interview. I'm not the guy that will ever say I don't appreciate the people that hired me and the people that gave me my contracts. They changed my life. They changed my family's life. They gave my kids better education than what I had. They gave my wife freedom to be able to help the community that she loves and the Fresno community that she's from. She raised 15 million diapers, so we never, ever disrespect. That would not make me human. It will make me one of them, part of the business. I don't want to be a part of the business. He did say, though, that his loyalty could be taken advantage of. He said, could they downplay my contract? 1,000%. Yeah, he's a Buck for life. Yeah, whatever. I totally agree with you. That's my one leverage. But again, I have declared that I am a Buck many times. And I've said most important thing, which I believe in, and I would say again. He was asked a few more direct questions. Who does he feel comfortable with talking to the front office? Not just about contracts, but the team or basketball or performance or anything and everything related to the Bucks. This is a killer. He said, quote, nobody. I don't feel comfortable talking to nobody. Most pro teams have an open door policy. Constant communication seems like a requirement in managing driven and competitive people. Giannis said he does talk to John Horst some, but less than before. I tried this whole year to stay to myself, and also this past summer. I was more closed off to myself. I don't know if that's because I don't feel comfortable opening up enough, or if it's just I don't want to open up at this point. It's definitely not like before. All right, so that's a lot. And let's be real, it doesn't paint the greatest picture between Giannis and his relationship with the Bucks brass, with the ownership group. It doesn't. Let's call a spade a spade. It doesn't sound good. And for anybody like myself who was holding out for some hope that, okay, maybe there's still an opportunity for Giannis to sign a long-term deal and remain a Buck for life, it doesn't. The odds to me, just reading some of those quotes and very open and honest quotes from Giannis, it took a major hit. It took a major hit. Now, that's not the only thing Giannis had to say. There's more. And he admitted to something that really affected his play this year. We'll tell you what he had to say more in this really great interview with Lori Nickel. We got to take a quick break, but more Giannis talking. And let me throw this back at you. Some of the quotes that I just read off to you. Do you feel like deep in your soul, deep in your gut that, man, I was holding out hope. I don't got much hope anymore. What's going through your mind when you hear that stuff? Let me know. All right. We got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though, coming up after these quick words. Spring is here in Eau Claire, and that means it's the perfect time to freshen up your home. At Carpet City Flooring Center, now is the season to take a look at what's under your feet and imagine what it could be. From soft, comfortable carpet that makes any room feel cozier to luxury vinyl planks and tile built for busy homes. There's something for every space, every budget, and every lifestyle. Maybe it's one room that needs a refresh, or maybe it's time for a full home update. Either way, their team is there to help you guide you through it all and choosing the right style to professional installation that you can count on. Because spring isn't just about cleaning out the old, it's about bringing in something better, a brighter space, a cleaner look, a home that feels new again. So if you're ready to upgrade this season, stop on in and see what's possible. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, where your next project starts from the floor on up. Continuing to talk a little Giannis and a little Milwaukee Bucks. Just, again, a fantastic couple pieces here from Lori Nickel from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do so. So the other portion of this, or the other piece, if you will, Giannis does admit that this season there was something that was going on that affected his play this year. And he struggled. He admitted he struggled with the separation from his family. Now, we know Giannis is a big fan. Like, family is numero uno to Giannis, as it should be for anybody. Family is number one. But he admitted he talked about when he talked about the difficult season full of stress and disappointment, he said, quote, "I've never had this season in my career. It was tough for a lot of reasons. The first reason," he said, was because he forced himself to separate from his family for an extended period of time. He began the season with his wife and his kids back in Greece. Now, if you remember, we kind of rewind it here a little bit. There was this big old media storm that Giannis moved his family to Greece. What does it mean? He's moving them out of Milwaukee. What does it mean? That sort of stuff and that. And essentially it was because of the talk that was going out there about trades and such. But it affected him on the court. He said, quote, "This was my first time in my career being away from my family. I was here and my family wasn't. My body was in the game, but my mind was not. And I think that affected me in a way because when your mind is not fully locked into what you love to do," and then he paused because apparently his brothers, came over and he said hi to them and such. But he began the season, he said, in top form, and said after played for Greece in Eurobasket, that his confidence was the highest it has ever been. But he also admitted he felt a big burden to carry the team. The Bucks had a highly functioning offense with him in the lineup and a bottom-of-the-barrel offense when he wasn't. And he said, he talked about his wife, his children, his brothers, his mom are the driving force behind almost everything he does in life. As a basketball player, as a provider, and as a family leader. He said, I didn't know how the season was going to unfold. There were a lot of rumors about me. There was a lot of uncertainty about me from both sides. So, between him and his wife, and they decided with their 4 young children to remain in Greece, their off-season home, long after the summer months ended to avoid the drama. Their absence was noticed around the Forum, where the family usually is a major part of Bucks game days. The boys like to help Dad with his pregame warm-up shots. His wife is a supportive spouse and an attentive mom. The Bucks staff and employees all pitch in to keep an eye on the kids who frequent the locker room. But for weeks, Giannis was alone without them. Quote, I didn't know how this is going to be. And one thing that I always said is that as a father, I would never put my kids in a position where my profession would hurt them and their lifestyle. I have an amazing wife that comes out with these incredible plans. I thought it was smarter for us as a family to stay in Greece. Now, around Thanksgiving and such, they did return to Milwaukee. And as Lori notes in this, why should Bucks fans care about this? Why does this matter? As she noted, Giannis revealed in 2023 that he almost quit basketball during the 2020 season when one of the struggles he faced was playing in Orlando in that NBA bubble during the COVID-19 pandemic. He made it clear to the Bucks that he needed to be around his family. But he's also protective of his kids. He got angry when a media outlet reported too many details on his Greek residency and included information about the school location and the schedule of his kids. Giannis wrote an angry Instagram post in Greek arguing for his privacy. They didn't do it one time. They did it multiple times. No. You talk about me. I'm the public figure, not my kids. Now, they don't have a security family. He doesn't, or security team, and he doesn't want one, he says. He said, I don't want security. I want to have a normal life. That's one of the reasons I love Milwaukee, because it gives me that. It gives my family that. And we've got this thing going on right now, this investigation about the Bucks' decision to shut him down for the season, but he wants to play. And now you got this NBA investigation going on because, the NBA wants their star players to play, right? This whole load management thing. As Lori notes, this might clear up any lingering confusion about why Giannis is struggling so much and is so angry about the Bucks' decision to shut him down for the season. After Giannis was injured again in mid-March, the Bucks decided he was done for the year. When asked who is responsible for the decision to shut him down, Doc Rivers or from higher up like John Horst, the general manager, Giannis said, I think it's both from what I've been communicated. I've had the conversation with Coach Doc, the possibility of shutting me down. I had the conversation with John also. Giannis has made it clear, though, he wants to play. He wants to play with his brother Alex. He had a chance to play with brothers Thanasis and Kostas in Eurobasket last summer, and he's missing the chance to play with Thanasis and Alex right now. Quote, saying, you know me, and maybe sometimes when you put this in the story, they won't believe, but you know me. You saw me. I grabbed my brother's jersey and the ball. I ran to the car. I was looking for my mom. He's talking about Alex, who just scored his first bucket. He had his first points last week on free throws, but he scored his first bucket. I ran to the car. I was looking for my mom, right? My mom was here. I told her to come back. I told my mom to stay so she could give Alex a hug. Do you think I don't want to play basketball with my little brother? This hurts me, he said, of the decision to hold him out. So, you add that on there. And it kind of throws out the question, okay, what if Alex wasn't playing? What if Alex wasn't out there? Would Giannis be this angry? Probably not. I think he'd still want to play, and I think he'd still want to push to play. But I think the fact that his younger brother, now Alex, who just made his NBA debut, he's out there on the same team as Giannis and playing, throwing up alley-oops to Thanasis. Giannis wants to be a part of that. We know he is such a huge family guy, for crying out loud. You know, the Bucks have added his brothers to the team because they know how much of a family man Giannis is. So, of course, I mean, think about it. It's kind of like the LeBron and Bronny thing. What did the Lakers do? They drafted Bronny to make LeBron happy. That's what it was. That's what it boiled down to. And yes, it would be cool. Let's put ourselves into the situation, whether you are a mom or you are a father or whatever, or you've got brothers or sisters. Would it be cool to play with your family? Heck yes. All right. Absolutely. You have a chance to do that? 100% you would do that. 100%. Would I love to play a game with like Hudson? I don't care if it'd be like a slow pitch softball game one of these days or whatever. But the fact that you could play a pro game with him, 100%. If I had a brother and I had a chance to be on an NBA court with him, would I think that would be an awesome opportunity? I'd want to do that? Heck yeah. And when you factor in all this stuff about how much, and I think we all knew Giannis is such a big family guy, but to hear some of the stuff where he like thought about quitting because of the COVID bubble, I mean, this is a big deal to him. And it probably, you know, we joke about, hey, Thanasis might not be on a roster for any other team or Alex and such, and we kind of like, all right, yeah, roll your eyes here a little bit. But now you kind of get a clearer picture of how important family is to him. And we know about the sport of basketball and trying to make your superstars happy. I get it now. I get why the Bucks did this. It totally makes sense why you bring back Thanasis. It totally makes sense why you sign Alex to your herd and call him up and such. You know, everybody says money is a driving factor, and it probably is, still more so than not. But for a family guy like Giannis, if that's what's going to make him happy too, and you're going the extra mile to do that sort of stuff, it may pay dividends. But is it enough to keep him around long term when we go back to some of the other stuff that we were just talking about? So on one hand, he loves Milwaukee because it gives him, you know, what they've done for his family. And it gives him the privacy that he wants. But does that all outweigh some of the other issues now that he is going through with this franchise? Where's the balance? Which way does it lead? That's a tough one now. All right, we got to take another quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Little field of dreams there. Before you hit the highway, make sure your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you are ready for wherever the road takes you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan the trip. AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit AJMAutomotiveServices.com to schedule your appointment today. So I guess I kind of want to throw this out to you, Wisconsin sports fans, Bucks fans. As a fan, what, after all that stuff, after all of those quotes we just read off from the Greek Freak from Giannis, what do you want to see happen? What would you like to see happen now, this offseason? Do you hope there's maybe a little bit of a reconciliation, that Giannis signs a long-term thing? Or do you think it's to the point where, you know what, it might be best for both sides to part ways? Are we at that Aaron Rodgers Do I say level? Are we at that Aaron Rodgers points where I think, a lot of us, when he left, when they traded the Jets, I think a lot of us were just like, you know what? It's time. It's time for both sides to just go their separate ways. Or do you feel, do you hope, do you wish that there is some path, some way that both sides can sing a little kumbaya and let bygones be bygones, and they can work this out and Giannis finishes his career with the Bucks, or still plays at least a few more years here? The selfish fan in me, there's no question. There's no way. I can't feel a different way, but the selfish fan in me wants Giannis to be a Buck. And I want him to stay a Buck. Because where it is a little bit different with the Rodgers thing is that, okay, there was a replacement. There was still some optimism and such. It's like, okay, there's a lot of other players that could, fill the Giannis, the NBA, one player could dictate a whole lot and dictate a lot of success. That's where it's a little bit different. If this was another straight-up football thing, and maybe it's like 10, 15 years, however long it is, and maybe we're having that same conversation, if I'm lucky enough to still be able to be doing this, if we're having that same conversation with Jordan Love, it's like, it's time. Football and basketball is a little bit different because basketball, one player can make the difference. We've seen that time and time and time again, right? So the selfish fan in me, I want Giannis to remain a Buck. I want Giannis to be a Buck for his whole career, okay? I'm of the, I was thinking about this, my age, and a player that during my lifetime, from my memory that I remember watching from the beginning to the end, that played with my favorite team from the beginning to the end. It wasn't Favre. Wasn't Rodgers. You look at Brewers players, the closest one right now is probably Ryan Braun. But that's even debatable. Yes, Robin Yount is there, but I'm a little too young to remember from beginning to end. So I don't put him in mind. That would be different for everybody else, of course. Robin Yount would probably be the easy pick for a lot of people. But for my age, just a little too young for that yet because I don't remember. Well, one, I wasn't around in 82, so there you go. But that easily would be. But I'm thinking about, like, for my age or even younger. It's Braun, and right now it's Giannis probably. So I was like, I want that great. I want that all-time great to just, because we talk about the Tim Duncans and the Kobes and the Steph Currys, that fan base. Hey, they got to see their dude. They're number one. They're all-time great. Throughout the entire portion of their career. And obviously, I wasn't around with like Bart Starr and such. But that's part of me is like I just want Giannis to play his whole career. But I know that it's 2026 and that's more rare than plausible at this point in time. Do you think too that the Bucks have done more than enough to cater Giannis? Do you think they've done more than enough to do everything? Because we talk about, especially in the NBA or top players, hey, you got to, maybe bend over backwards a little bit. You got to cater to them a little bit. You got to do this. You got to do that to make them happy. You think they've done their fair share? They've kept Thanasis around. They brought in Alex. His brothers are playing for the team. Let's be real. They're probably not on an NBA roster for any other team, or at least a top-fledged team, right? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but let's just be real. Roster sizes are incredibly limited. It's not like you can always stash a player, maybe what you can do in the NFL or in Major League Baseball in the minor league system. Thanasis has been on the roster regular roster for how many years? And I get it. He was a second-round pick by the Knicks years back. You got Alex. Just made his pro debut a couple weeks ago and such. They've done all that. Right? I mean, they've done that. Do you think that's, you know what? Bucks have done a lot for that. Or do you think they should have done more? And if you think they should have done more, what are the areas that they should have done more to make Giannis healthy? You know, you look at deals that were made, trades that were made. On one hand, you could say, well, they traded his best friend, Chris Middleton. That was a smart. Yeah, you're probably right. But they brought in Dame, guy that beforehand he was talking a lot about. Maybe they held on to guys too long to try to make him happy. I mean, there's examples on both sides, right? There's examples where, man, they didn't do some decisions to make him happy. But then there's other ones like, oh, yeah, that's clearly they did that just to make Giannis happy. Coaching decisions, right? So do you think they've done enough? Do you think they've done more enough? Do you think they did do enough? Well, what side are you on? You know, it's like all reports, he wanted Adrian Griffin. And then change of heart. All right, fire. Bringing in Doc Rivers. He was a part of the old breakfast meeting to hire Mike Budenholzer, too. Man, it's tough. It's tough. All right, we got to take our final break, and we'll wrap up the second hour and head into halftime here. Hoops-wise, who you rolling with tonight? You going to go with Michigan or UConn to be the national champions? Who you rolling with, baby? All right, get your picks in now. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hit us up on the Section 105 chat. We'll take a quick break, and we'll wrap up the second hour coming up after these quick words. Hey, sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal doesn't have to be stressful. At Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part, they handle the insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality work and a team that's got your back every step of the way. So get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. Superior Auto Body, our Backyard Dreams partners. And speaking of Backyard Dreams, registration is open for the Casper Classic. Just head to 715store.com. They changed up our Sports Talk website here a little bit, so the link isn't up there. Hopefully it'll be up there soon. But right now, if you want to make sure you get your two-person team in for the 6th annual Casper Classic, head on over to 715store.com. Those 3 tee times are available, 7:30, 10 a.m., and 1 p.m. And a big thanks to a boatload of teams that have already signed up. We have sold out of this thing every single year. So big thanks for everybody off to a fantastic start so far. Again, I know it's not until August, but yeah, we've got a good start. We've got a good start. Who's going to win the title belts this year? We have not had a repeat winner at all. So we'll see if that continues to be the case. Coming up in a little over an hour from now, we'll catch up with Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News in Eau Claire. We'll do our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center with him. I know we got baseball, softball, soccer, track and field, golf, all that going on, tennis. So we'll get the latest and greatest from Justice Cleveland for our local sports roundup. Also coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll do our Glory Days segments brought to you by Summer Jam in Eau Claire. Send me your VFW post at 305 best and worst from the weekend. We'll hit those up coming up in the next hour. Speaking of the next hour, too. But I want to talk some green and gold as we continue our Packers draft prospect countdown series. So obviously we know Green Bay doesn't have a first round pick, usually Normally, we would take a look at some potential options with the first round, but we're taking a look at potential options for day 2. That's rounds 2 and 3. So we'll take a look at a few more. There's obviously a wider pool, a wider range of options there for Green Bay. So we'll continue to take a look at some potential names out there and do factor in what some of the experts are putting out there for their mock drafts and looking at some of those options and whether we like those as potential picks for Green Bay or not. So that'll be coming up in the next hour. Plus, Ed Policy speaks again and kind of says, all right, let's address this naming rights thing at Lambeau Field. Let's pump the brakes here a little bit, peeps. All right? So we'll go over what Ed Policy had to say, too. So continue to send me your picks. Are you going to go with Michigan or are you going to go with UConn for tonight's national championship? All right? Who are you rolling with? Who are you going to roll with? Send those on over via the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Or you could join in on the Section 105 chats. Make your picks over there, too. So we'll talk a little college hoops as we get set for the men's Division I national championship. The women's, we had UCLA taking down UConn yesterday in the national championship. So UCLA grabbing their first in school history for the women's side of things. We know, obviously, John Wooden and the men's team have won quite a few and such. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here. So it is halftime. We got some news up